Welcome to Pixie and the Paranormal. I'm Pix, and in this episode, I'm talking all about the thinning of the veil and what you can do to harness your own intuition. So stay with me and don't forget to share, like, comment, and subscribe for more witchy content. Hi ghosties, thanks for being here. I'm really excited to have you with me for another episode I'm pretty excited about, but I gotta be honest with you, I actually had to edit and record this over a few sessions because I just have felt so all over the place. Are you feeling like that right now too? Because apparently the veil and this time of year can do that to us. So, in honor of Halloween season, I wanted to discuss the idea of the veil, share some information regarding what the veil is, and then eventually get into what you can do to look beyond the veil in order to enhance your own life and connect with your ancestors, especially this time of year. It is the season of the witch, after all. Quick sidebar, I did upload a video where I discussed the history of Halloween, and if you missed it, you might want to pause here, go listen to that one, and then come back. I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it might help you make better sense of this episode. I'll link it in the video description for you. I want to also just say that again, I am absolutely no expert regarding the veil or any of the topics discussed in this episode. I just really enjoy researching these topics and then applying them to my own life. When I know the history of something, it really does help give it a deeper meaning in my own life, and I'm more likely to celebrate it or use it with intention. Okay, so you probably keep reading or hearing that the veil is thinning. There are so many graphics online regarding this, but what exactly does it mean? What is the veil? Well, the veil refers to the energetic barrier that is believed to separate the living from the spiritual realm, the realm where our dead exist. So, in other words, the veil is the barrier between us and the dead. It sort of shrouds the spiritual world from our everyday eye. So where did this concept of a veil come from? Well, the idea that there is a veil between the living and the dead is actually of Celtic pagan origins. Probably no surprise there, right? We're talking about a belief originating about 2,000 years ago. Now, at that time, they didn't call it the veil. I think they believed it more to be of a mist, and the veil is kind of a term we see come into play in the 1900s, but the belief of some sort of spiritual barrier was practiced by the Celtic pagans. I couldn't find any concrete research regarding why the Celts believed in the veil, but the general idea I could gather is that it was simply rational to feel more connected to the dead during the fall season when all of nature actively dies back. Now, what we do know is that the ancient Celts ruled their lives by the rhythms of nature, right? They let the cycles of nature guide them, and so if all around them nature was turning inwards and quite literally dying off, well then symbolically that meant death was all around and easier to access or interact with. Not only was nature dying back, though, but nights were getting longer, which is thought to possibly have represented the idea of the other world, the supernatural realm that was known as the home of the dead. Because of this, the ancient Celts felt close to their dead throughout the harvest season, but especially so on the night of Samhain, which is an ancient holiday that is still practiced today and is where Halloween is actually derived from. Honestly, go check out my Halloween video. I swear this is not a shameless plug. Anyway, the Celts believed that the veil between our realms was thinnest around Samhain, which meant that it was the time when spirits could more easily cross between the realms of the living and the dead, and they actually did many things to connect with and honor the dead during this time, as well as things to protect themselves from harmful spirits. So some examples are leaving food and drinks out for spirits of loved ones in order to honor them, or sacrificing animals to appease spirits, wearing disguises or, dare I say, costumes to ward off evil spirits. They would engage in fortune telling since communing with the dead was easier at that time. They would leave candles along roadsides to help guide the dead back to the spirit realm. I mean, there are so many things that were done by the Celts during this time of the year, and I'm sure I'm only scratching the surface with these examples. Now, for most of us, the veil kind of ebbs and flows throughout the year, much like the tides of the ocean, in terms of its thickness, if you will. But with the veil being at its thinnest right now during Halloween season, we can easily connect with the other side, much like the Celts did. You probably even instinctively feel that, like things are happening that you can't quite explain with reasoning and logic, right? So let's talk about it. Actually, before we get into it, I want to take a quick sort of tangent. I want you to be aware of your own self doubt and any way you try to discount your own experiences. When we say things like maybe, kind of, I think so, we are essentially questioning our own gut and our own intuition. This dilutes your intuition over time. It becomes something you just can't trust because you've conditioned yourself to question it. Whenever you find yourself saying those things or trying to almost disprove your own intuition, try to purposefully say something like, I just saw that. Acknowledge your experience because it really did happen. Your feelings are real and your experiences are real. You are a living being surrounded by energy. Not everything can be rationalized or explained with logic. This is life, not a science lab where all things are controlled. As a matter of fact, nothing is in your control. Control is an illusion. But let me exit off this tangent lane because I'm venturing down a rabbit hole that is a deeper discussion for another day. Can you tell I'm sort of passionate about acknowledging our own intuition, right? So anyway, okay, let me get back on topic though. You are probably already sensing the thinning of the veil and you don't even realize it. So for example, are you having a tough time falling asleep or staying asleep? Sleep disturbances are very common right now. I think it's because of all the energy buzzing around you this time of year. Similarly to that, you are probably experiencing more intense dreams than usual. Dreaming can also feel just totally exhausting. For me personally, my sleep and dreams are completely affected by the veil right now. Actually, I'll go on a little tangent again. Let me share something with you. I'm a deep sleeper and rarely ever remember my dreams, but once in a while I will have a very vivid dream where I'm somewhere outside of my own home and a stranger who I do not know walks up to me in a hurry and I instantly wake up. That happens several times a week during Halloween season, though, which is a lot for me. Just last night, I even dreamt that I was in a building and there was a long, long line of people. It just kept going on and winding down hallways. None of the people were speaking or really moving. And in my dream, I finally said, I think they're all dead. And again, I instantly woke up. Are you also having dream experiences right now, like me? If so, I would love to hear about them. So if you're comfortable sharing, please do so. My suggestion for dream work is to journal your dreams. This is a kind of do as I say, not as I do situation because if I'm being honest with you guys, I don't journal mine. I'm just not totally comfortable with these dreams yet, and I'm not interested in working with them yet. I personally want to gain a better understanding of how to purposefully interact with these dreams. But if you're listening and you like the idea of working with your dreams, go for it. This is a really good time to do that. Another way that you may be experiencing the thinning of the veil is through your animals. Are they going a little crazy or have behaviors that seem amplified? Because I know mine are. We have 3 dogs and they just seem extra chaotic right now. One of them has been waking up in the middle of the night the past few nights, and we honestly have no idea why. Animals are way more in tune with spirits and the spirit realm than we are because they don't struggle with the idea of reasoning it away. They have strong senses and rely on them every day. Pay attention to your animals right now, and if you want, try to incorporate them into your spiritual work. For example, I like to have one of my dogs with me when I read my tarot cards. I always feel like my dogs are not only a helpful guardian to connect with spirits, but they're also honestly a great source of protection for us. Are you also feeling more emotional lately? Do you feel maybe more prone to sadness? Because that is another way that your body and soul are sensing the veil. Sometimes our emotions can even overwhelm us right now. You may even just feel more psychic overall lately. Do you have a feeling someone is going to call you and then they do? Or maybe you think of someone and then you randomly see them. Just this morning, I thought to myself, I bet so and so won't be at work. And when I went to work, they weren't. They were actually out all day. So pay attention to those thoughts that just pop into your head randomly and for seemingly no reason. It's most likely your intuition. You may even be smelling things that aren't there or hearing someone who isn't there. Again, don't discount these experiences. Your senses don't play tricks on you. That is a total made up idea. When you see something or smell something, it's real. So, all of these things might leave you feeling excited, but also overwhelmed or exhausted this Halloween season. I recommend to rest as much as you can and schedule it in if you have to. Life is so busy, which again, tangent, but that is another reason why we struggle to connect with the spirit realm. But again, we are so busy that it's helpful to make rest a part of your schedule and to stick to it. Just like you wouldn't skip brushing your teeth in the morning, don't skip getting enough rest. And rest without your screens. I know that is super hard. I really do get that. But when we have screens in our faces all day, they plant images and thoughts into our brains, and it again reduces our connection with our own gut and the other side. Journaling as much as you can is another great way to work with the veil. Like I mentioned earlier, write down those dreams, keep a log of any time your thoughts came true. You will start to notice patterns and you'll really get in tune with how things and situations make you feel. Another simple and basic but important thing is to drink enough water. Water is cleansing, and your mind, body, and soul needs extra cleansing right now. You need to wash away energy so you don't get bogged down. And an extra bonus is that staying hydrated keeps our minds fresh, so it may also just help with being more aware of what you're experiencing. Don't forget to also cleanse your space periodically. Energy can linger in your home just like dust can, and you want to sweep that away. Some things that I like to do is keep my house tidy and mindfully straighten it up a few times a week. Candles are really important right now, too. It helps to not only set a soothing atmosphere, but smoke can really help rid your space of stagnant energy. I also think strategically placing crystals and herbs around your home is just a good general practice. Think of openings to your home, like doors, windows. They might be the places to pay the most attention to. I would also suggest carrying any grounding stones you have or leaving them where you sit most of the time, like your desk or near your TV or, next to your bed. Work with them as much as you can. Some good crystals would be really anything black, like black tourmaline, onyx, and my favorite smoky quartz. But my biggest suggestion, though, and favorite part of this time of year is to work with your ancestors. Please, 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 if you do nothing else, try to connect with your own dead. And when I say ancestors, they do not have to be blood related. You should feel empowered to work with any dead that you feel are on the other side, guiding you and rooting for you. This could include actual blood relatives, extended family, close friends, and even your pets. I personally always have an altar set up for my dead animals as an honor to them for all they taught me and for all the love they brought to me. So if you do set up an altar for your ancestors, which again, I highly recommend, your altar could include things like pictures of the person or animal, any personal items of theirs, really anything that reminds you of them or makes you feel connected to them. I think candles are also really important on altars because fire represents life. And I know when I light candles that are on my altars, it provides that perfect time for me to say their name and think of memories. I feel totally connected to them when I do this. One last thing you may want to include on any ancestor altar is offerings, like food, drinks, or flowers. When you set your table for dinner, leave a small plate with some of your food for your ancestors. Kind of piggybacking off of ancestors and altars, I always recommend cooking recipes left to you by your dead. For example, I like to make some of my grandmother's actual handwritten recipes, and it really helps me feel connected to them. It honors them, gets me and my family talking about them, which then in turn helps to keep their memory alive. It really is such a great honor. I think visiting grave sites of loved ones is another meaningful activity you can do right now. And when you do visit, leave an offering. Show them how much you still do think of them and love them. You could always leave, the traditional flowers, and I suggest leaving anything that nature can then dispose of for you. Like pumpkins. They're easy for you to get your hands on right now, and nature loves pumpkins. The squirrels and deer will be having a feast after you leave, trust me. Again, any home-cooked food is another great idea to leave. I try hard not to leave anything that could potentially pollute the environment. I also want to point out that your offerings do not have to be expensive or over the top. The point of leaving an offering is the act of giving and remembering. My grandfather really loved those little crimpet tasty cakes. If you're not from the area I live in, they're just little cakes that are individually wrapped. So sometimes I have left those unwrapped at his gravesite. No gesture is too small, honestly. And anytime you are working with your ancestors, talk to them, say their names, talk about memories you had with them, or even share how much you maybe miss them. Talking out loud is very powerful with the dead. They listen to you, and your own heart hears you. It's very magical. When working with spirits, I do want you to protect yourself, though. Just like with the living, energy from the dead is not always wanted or welcome, and you need to set your own personal boundaries and be firm with them. You should not try to endlessly just connect with the dead. And I know for me, I have to set those boundaries on a daily basis during this season. While I'm eager to communicate with my own ancestors, I'm not open for communicating with just any spirit. And I want you to know that that is okay and honestly safest for you as well. Just like you wouldn't talk to any random stranger in life, you shouldn't talk to any random stranger in the spirit world either. Before I let you go, I want to suggest just one more thing for you to do while the veil is at its thinnest, and that is just to have fun. Connect with your ancestors, get in tune with your own gut, use those divination tools, and find the one that feels the most enjoyable and easiest for you because that's the one you're going to use. I personally love reading my tarot and oracle cards. Journal your dreams and experiences. Validate your own intuition. Work with your animals. Just enjoy this magical time of year. On that note, ghosties, I want to thank you for being here with me. I always love researching these topics and sharing personal stories with you. If you feel comfortable, I would love to hear how you work with the veil this time of year and any other suggestions you might have. Enjoy this magical time of year and listen to all the messages the universe is sharing with you. Happy Halloween!